All right, today on the Locked On Ole Miss Podcast, we talk a little bit about the uniform reveal that happened yesterday. We give our review going into that. We'll also talk a little bit about the upset loss against Samford and also the Lady Rebs winning the game against a ranked opponent for the first time in, I think, 15 years or something like that. So just stay tuned to the Locked On Ole Miss Podcast for more of that.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, let's talk about the Sugar Bowl reveal. Man, that was unbelievably exciting whenever they announced that and he slapped the helmet and the whole thing that went on. Those helmets look so good. There's a very much a Houston Oilers vibe from like 1992 that I like about it, but it really looks like that. And going for that vibe will make the Sugar Bowl even more exciting, honestly, for people like me. So thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss Podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including soon to be YouTube. Tune in for that. Whenever we get the link, we will share it. Also, today's episode is brought to you by NetSuite. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system to power your growth. Head to netsuite.com/LockedOnNCAA for special end-of-year financing on the #1 financial system for growing businesses. So we're talking about how impressive the uniform reveal is for Ole Miss football. I'm excited. I mean, but the uniform combination, if you haven't seen them, and I will just tell them out loud because most people are listening to the podcast to this, is a white helmet with a tri-stripe in the middle, and it's a powder blue down the middle and thin red ones around the outside, which I think might be something looking at stripes on a pant. I don't know. But they are going to do that. The powder blue jersey with the Sugar Bowl patch on the shoulder, along with the white pants. I mean, it looks really, really good. Now I'm curious to see what Baylor will do now that they have this. Will they come out there and do the all yellow? I think the potential to have a color game is actually there for this one, for whatever reason. I want to see what Baylor does with their uniforms, because Ole Miss wearing this combination allows them to go all green if they want to, all yellow. There's not a lot of colors that are going to conflict with each other when it comes to these uniforms. And I mean, these are sharp. These are some of the sharpest uniforms that Ole Miss have, especially the white helmet and the white pants. And I've been calling for this look all season. I mean, anybody that listens to the show knows that I've been calling for this look all season. I've been wanting the Houston Oilers look ever since we got the powder blue jerseys. Now, don't get me wrong. I like the powder blue helmets. That's fine. I just wanted white helmets with that suit. And if you have white helmets with that suit, there's so much you can do. Oh my goodness. Just having that uniform with the white helmet, there's so many things you can do. Now, I'm sure that decals for that helmet are going to change, especially with the powder blue and the navy blue, because I'm sure that white helmet is going to make an appearance with the navy blue jersey too. So don't think that this is something that is happening in place of our currently used jerseys. This is something that is happening to enhance our currently used jerseys. I do think they're going to get new stickers and everything and set it up to where the white helmets can be worn with the navy blue jerseys and with the red jerseys and all of that. I think this is not going to be, I think the helmet they have now can be worn with the red jerseys, but you can just see the catalog of uniforms and it's just straight fire one after the other. That is absolutely amazing. Now, I'm biased, obviously. I'm hosting the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I've been a lifelong Ole Miss fan. I've worked for Ole Miss. I've covered Ole Miss. I'm interested in what's going on. You have this. You have my attention. I mean, I subscribed to Border Wars back in the day. Before the 21st century happened. Because I wanted more information. Ole Miss Sports News. Subscribe to that. omsn.com. Yes. So I am biased when I say this. Absolutely biased. And that's fine. But Ole Miss releases one banger after another when it comes to uniforms. There's no such thing as an ugly uniform with this set. This white, powder white, is just another to go along with the set of the powder red and the gray. The navy and the gray. The navy helmets, the white and the white. And I do think that they need to bring back the blue numbers as well. That's the one change I would make. I would bring back the blue numbers on the road jerseys to go with the red numbers. And that would just give you a little bit more variety that you can do. A little bit more in the tool chest based off of the numbers. And, I look at the helmet stripe and I think of a stripe for the pants. And I think the stripe for the pants might be a little bit of a trap. The blank canvas, everybody talks about it looks cheap. And no, it looks versatile is what it looks. You can wear those white pants with blue numbers, with red numbers. You can wear them with all of your jerseys. And they don't just overly clash or do whatever. And it's because they are so simple. Put a stripe on there, it limits what they can do. Either that or you have to buy more pants for more uniforms. So it's a little bit more cost effective, I guess, to do it this way because the simplicity of these uniforms, it's really worth paying attention to. So I just really like these uniforms. This is my uniform review, my fashionista advice of what's going on. But I just love the way this looks. Now, one thing that is on my mind, and I understand that if nobody wants to do this, that's fine. But I'm a huge fan of the San Diego or Los Angeles Chargers with the yellow pants, the white helmet, the powder jersey, and the yellow pants. So my thought is, just my thought, what would red pants look like with the suit? White helmet, powder jersey, red pants. What would that look like? I'm having trouble visualizing it, but it's something that is, attracted my interest as we move forward. I mean, the uniforms that we release, there's no such thing as a bad uniform. I mean, that's the benefit of having the colors that we have. There's not really such thing as a bad uniform. And I think about when I was at Ole Miss, and I was Ole Miss in the mid part of the 2000s, like 2004 to 2007. That's when I worked at the school. And the athletic budget, the total athletic budget at that time was a shade over $30 million. It was at the point where I had to catalog all my tapes that I did, like record practice, if you record everything. I had to catalog all of those and keep record of what you're using with them because you needed that ammunition if you wanted to order more tapes because money was so tight. And it also lets you know back in the 80s when Ole Miss started playing Southern Miss that those schools were actually very close financially. They absolutely were. When Reggie Collier and Sammy Winders and them was running around, they were making about the same amount of money as Ole Miss, as Mississippi State. And those games in Jackson's were legitimately helping them. And that is the reason people stopped playing that game. Now that choice makes no sense whatsoever. But back then, it made all the choice in the world. Because right now, we are $100 million athletic department. Southern Miss is a shade over 10. I don't want to turn this into an Ole Miss Southern Miss thing, but I mean, that's just showing the stark contrast in between people. So these uniforms and these helmets, and from what I've heard, these are bought helmets, not painted helmets. So we actually have 3 helmets in our set that we can go to. And that's pretty cool. That is really neat. And I think the Sugar Bowl is going to look really good. I mean, you have all of us not opting out. It's going to be a good game. This is probably the top non-playoff game when you think of lack of opt-outs and also the storylines. When you deal with Baylor, when you deal with Ole Miss. So, I mean, that's going to be something to keep an eye on as we move forward. It's going to be pure excitement, and I'm just really looking forward to this game. Now, a little bit of house cleaning before we go into the break. Tomorrow is my last treatment. So this week, we're recording Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on Wednesday. Understand that. Just because we want to get out content to you guys, but I got to go all the way over to Tampa tomorrow. That's going to really hamper my day. And this way we can start to get ready to a normal situation, which will start next week. So tune in for that, definitely. But yeah, today's show and Thursday's show and Friday's show will be recorded on Wednesday. So just understand that whenever you listen to it, if news breaks in between. And because of that, also on the Locked On, the Y'all's Conference Network, shows like Beast of the East and SEC After Dark is coming back next week. So everything's going to start to normalize a little bit. So stick around for that. And let's see, what else do I need to say? Oh, just thanks for listening. We're going to take we're going to hear from our sponsors real quick. We'll come back with a little bit of talk about the game against Samford yesterday. And we'll also might talk a little bit of Lady Rebels. And I'm looking forward to that. Bowl season is here, Ole Miss fans. Basically, you can set up entry and handle daily fantasy through PrizePicks. Use promo code LOCKEDON for your entry. PrizePicks is the leader in college sports daily fantasy. It offers more college football and basketball props than anyone in the world and offers the all-star players of the Power 5 as well as the mid-major players you might not have even heard of. PrizePicks offers any prop you can think of. In basketball, you can play points, rebounds, assists, threes made, or more. All of your users that deposit and use the promo code LOCKEDON will get a 100% instant deposit match of up to $100. Just use promo code LOCKEDON. Basically, you pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times. On any entry, it's just you versus the projected numbers. PrizePicks allows multiple sports. You can take the over on Mahomes and the under on LeBron James. Use the award-winning app for the App Store and Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. So PrizePicks offers safe and fast withdrawals. That's PrizePicks. Promo code Locked On for your entry today. This is it, the putt to win the tournament. If you sink it, the championship is yours, but on your backswing, your hat falls over your eyes. Is this how you're running your business? Poor visibility because you're still relying on spreadsheets and outdated finance software? To see the full picture, you need to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle. Over 27,000 businesses already use NetSuite, and right now, through the end of the year, NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind financing program to those ready to upgrade at netsuite.com/lockedonnca. Head to netsuite.com/lockedonnca for your special end-of-year financing on the #1 financial system for growing businesses. That's netsuite.lockedon. That's netsuite.com/lockedonnca. So you give those guys a good look. They're the number one cloud financial system that will help power your growth, and basically it's a pretty good deal. So give them a call, netsuite.com/LockedOnNCAA. All right. Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. Make sure to check out the Ultimate College Football Preview 2021, local experts, betting advice, and draft analysis. The most comprehensive college football playoff preview begins Friday. I've sent out a retweet for that, and whenever I have more, I will send out more. So tune in for that. Yeah, it's really, really fancy talk. So, told you before the break, last treatment tomorrow. Everything starts to normalize a little bit after that. This week, we've got 3 shows recording Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So if anything happens after that before Monday, I can't be held responsible because it just kind of is what it is. So thank you for that. Ole Miss lost to Samford. Yes, you heard that correctly. I think it was 75-72, something like that. 74-72. And I'll just bring this up real quick so I can get the score right. It's interesting. Let's see, the score of the game. Yeah, 75-73. And it ended with a 3-point shot that was made for Ole Miss to win the game, but it was released after the red light went on, and it was not released in time. Now, that kind of takes me back to what I've talked about now a couple of days, and that is how important Deshaun Ruffin is to this team. I would love to see the plus-minus of the Ole Miss basketball team with Deshaun Ruffin on the court. Just would absolutely love to see that. Because Ole Miss almost won that game. I mean, they were a tenth of a second away from winning that game. The problem happened. Ole Miss was up by 6 at halftime, which immediately became a 12-point lead for Samford. So that's like a 18-point swing that happened within 5 minutes of the second half. Deshaun Ruffin was on the bench. Like I said, I would love to see the plus-minus of when he plays and when he doesn't. Teams fear him. Teams fear him. And because of that, you can see it open up for other players. All of a sudden, Matthew Morrell and Jamin Brakefield and Jarkel Joyner, they become better shooters because there's no pressure on them. You can see these guys wilting under pressure and missing shots early in the second half. Deshaun Ruffin is needed for this team. It is absolutely needed for this team. Now, the benefit that we talked about last week, where we were hoping Ole Miss would put this game away with 10 minutes left in the second half, that obviously didn't happen. But it also, you can't really slide into the Florida game after that loss. Florida game becomes more pressure packed. You had a chance to, I'm not going to say start off conference season easy. I'm not saying that. But whenever you can remove pressure, it just becomes a little easier. Shots fall a little bit quicker. So this game's going to be a little bit harder. And it's a week from today. But it's going to be a little bit harder. And it's because of that 5-minute period right after halftime against Samford. You take that away, Ole Miss wins the game, and not only wins the game fairly easily. The first 5 minutes of the second half were awful. They were borderline negligent. But, like I said, it is what it is. They fixed it, they got going, and they could have won the game. They were a tenth of a second away from winning the game. But it's important to realize that what this game means, especially going into conference season against Florida. Now, if you look at the schedule coming up, inside conference play, they got Florida at home. So Florida coming to Pavilion on Wednesday. The following Wednesday, Tennessee, you go to Thompson-Boling. That's going to be a tough game. Then the following Saturday, you go to Mississippi State. That's going to be a tough game. Then you go to Texas A&M. Well, it's Mississippi State at home. You go to Texas A&M, then you have Auburn. So it's a situation where 2-3 is a decent start. And now you can see how important that game was. How important that 5-minute period was. See what it means going forward. Like I said, it is what it is. But that was a tough loss. And I've always said that non-conference games don't matter until they do. If they matter, that means you are not quite good enough in conference play. That's what that means. If we're talking about non-conference games in March, it's because your SEC record is not what it needed to be. It is what it is. So I'm looking forward to basically watching them moving forward and paying attention to what happens. Deshaun Ruffin, they're going to get better. The splint's going to come off maybe either for Florida or right after Florida. When that happens, his outside shooting is going to improve, and you can see what this team could become. But right now, that was a tough loss. That was a hard one to get, and it's going to be a hard one to get past. So, anyway. When we come back, we are going to talk a little bit about Coach Yo and the women's basketball team as they have won 12 in a row. Stick around. All right, BetOnline has you covered all season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football continues its march to the playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for sports action all this season. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2021. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Yes, have you heard about Built Bar? That's Built Bar. Basically, it's a tasty treat that tastes like a candy bar, even better than a candy bar. It's a Built Bar. It's built with so much holiday goodness, rich and decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, and net carbs, along with fat. It's also high in protein. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. So many flavors, you'll have a hard time choosing. Will you have raspberry or mint brownie or cherry or double chocolate? So many different things are available for you. You friends with Santa? Tell Santa to throw a few Built Bars into those stockings with so many flavors they'd make anybody's Christmas morning a happy one. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off of your order. Again, go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. That's Built.com. All right, welcome back. I'm just really excited about this. But see, when Coach O led their ladies against Belmont and they dropped that first game of the season, people quit paying attention for some reason. They just assume it's like, okay. And some people do have a football mentality when it comes to basketball. I get that. But this team has ran off 12 straight wins, including the last one against a ranked USF team, which means they're 12-1 going into conference play. We're going to bring up their schedule. I think they have Arkansas next Thursday. And yeah, they open with Arkansas. And then they got the big game at South Carolina. South Carolina is always going to be a tough bull, but then you kind of get to go through it. The SEC's always been a bear when it comes to women's basketball. That doesn't change at all. But for the first time in a while, this is a group of girls that can navigate this slate. And I potentially think this is an NCAA tournament team. And if you think about where they came from, where this program was 5-6 years ago to where they are now, it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And all the plaudits in the world need to go to Coach O. Period. Because this turnaround has been pronounced. They've hit the transfer portal quite effectively. They've recruited quite well. I think 2 years ago they signed the top-rated class in the SEC. So you can actually see the light at the end of the tunnel for these girls, and it's kind of this season. That run last year to the NIT final has really catapulted them into this season. I really wish they could have gotten the W in that first game because people literally quit paying attention. And this team deserves attention because there's good players. And they're playing really hard and really well. So if you get a chance to catch the Arkansas game next Thursday, I would do that. You would see a team that's going to play quite hard, that's going to play quite well. They're not going to be a free-flowing shooting team. That's not the way they play. But they are, I guess, picture old Rod Barnes if you want to know how they play. And that's just defensively, and they try and squeeze the life out of you. And because of that, the games can be kind of ugly. They can be hard to watch occasionally, but that doesn't mean they're not good. It reminds me back of Rob Evans and the Justin Reed teams, the Rod Barnes teams at Ole Miss. And it just really kind of works out for them. So really impressed with that and everything's going on with Coach O and the women's basketball team. Now remember, there's going to be a show on Thursday, but it's going to be recorded today. Friday, we're going to do the Sugar Bowl preview. So thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day. In the next episode, we will talk about the transfer portal. And we will talk about specifically how we use the transfer portal, not how people want us to use the transfer portal. And I think that's a pretty important thing and a pretty important distinction to have. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling, is free and available on all platforms. Next week, it's going to start normalizing. The week after that is going to be real normal. Tune in to Y'all's Conference Network. Beast of the East is going to be around Wednesdays. SEC After Dark will come back on Wednesdays. So tune in for that. I'm going to try and get the biscuits and SECs and Bill Flowers and all of that stuff that we did before. But just we had a weird period in December. We told y'all it was going to be weird. So thank you very much for tuning in. And, of course, hotty toddy.